This is another episode of Let's Keep Talking, and my guest today is Alexey Welsh. Sincerely, one of my favorite people ever. This is the third time he's been on the show, and per the usual, we're talking about sex. We're talking about how we can be more present during lovemaking, how we can be more aware of the subtle sensations from a physical standpoint to an energetic standpoint, emotional places. Talk about the pitfalls that happen during sex that keep us from feeling really engaged and really fulfilled. Sincerely, a wonderful conversation with one of my favorite people in the world. If you've watched any of our episodes together, then you know you're in for a treat today. So let's dive in. And we spoke for the first time a couple years ago. It was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this point.
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And the initial thing that you shared with me that really kicked off me taking sex deeper in my own experience was there are two different ways to engage with sex from a very kind of basic framework.
In a basic way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very basically, yeah. One side is for pleasure and entertainment. And this is like the most common version that we see displayed in the media and pornography. Pleasure, entertainment, more about pleasure, more intense pleasure, and more, it's like a consumption thing,
Mm-hmm.
and also just entertainment. The other way to experience sex is through kind of the bucket of nourishment and connection and love.
Mm-hmm.
And even one of the things you said was like, sex is like, a lot of times sex is about a destination, like, oh, I'm trying to get to a climax, where really sex is a space that you enter with your partner, that you nourish, and you kind of saturate yourself in sexual energy. And in that flow of sexual energy, the most potent and important one is love, like the flow of love. So that frame of separating the two and beginning to just lean more into how can I take sex and make it more about nourishing myself as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also connecting myself with my partner as well has been so helpful. And I feel like it would be really helpful if we just started off our conversation today by bringing that back up and hearing
Mm-hmm.
some of your thoughts on that, kind of reteaching some of that, and then we can go deeper into some of the threads that pop up. What do you say?
Yeah. So I think kind of I would expand a little bit. It's not that we are creating kind of two buckets. One is pleasure and one is love, because then
Mm-hmm.
it can be misunderstood a little bit, like all we're doing is just, saying I love you or cuddling. Well, it could be perceived this way.
I get it.
And the other one is the actual sex and pleasure and orgasms and everything, and then people will of course say, well, no, that's what I want. So it's not an either or. It's if you imagine like sexual energy as a really nourishing substance for you in sex, I mean, it contains a lot of pleasure, probably even much more pleasure than you can with just the kind of approach to it as entertainment, as just looking for something fun. There's a lot more depth, a lot more range. There's like the body wakes up all this pleasure a lot more often. So and it's not that we are really kind of tranquil and calm. It can also be very passionate and active and intense as well. Intensity also grows. So it's a complete way of having sex in the sense of also experiencing arousal and pleasure and orgasmicity. But it's more like it's the overall kind of context, overall perspective that we see sexual energy as a very rich, pleasurable, but also very rich and nourishing substance in this moment. That we feel that we're really coming alive with it, and it's all kind of swirling between us, and we feel the sense of like, this is really, really good for me right now, like in many ways. Yeah. And the other one is like for fun and entertainment, like largely speaking, we're talking about the very large concept of entertainment. Yeah, not just like a comedy, but just anything that is kind of engaging, enticing, just something you want to explore, something you just kind of want to do for the hell of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's more like a different part of you that also wants something to experience those aspects of life as well. And the kind of what I believe in is that we don't need to choose. We don't need to remain but only sex for fun and entertainment, or we have to transfer only into some kind of like, really deep sexual experience that's all about nourishment. I think, variety is very nice, and we want to live a life to the full, and we want to have kind of a moment for this and a moment for that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having some fun and entertainment in sex. It's just when people educate themselves by the media on only seeing sex from that place and operating only from that place, like, you will have fun and you will have entertainment and you will achieve that. So there's nothing wrong with it. But when you achieve that, you will feel that sense of, well, is that all there is? Is there more to it?
Well, talk about that a little bit more, man. Like, if someone's not really ever practiced or played with the range of adding in more of nourishing focus, like, this is really good for me, this is really good for my partner. I'm not just giving them orgasms and giving them physical pleasure, but I'm also really opening their heart and connecting with them in that way. One of the words that I've heard used is mechanical. Sometimes sex feels mechanical when it's too focused on just rubbing and working each other's body to pleasure, when there's not the flow of love. How can someone notice in their own lovemaking that it might be a little bit lopsided?
How could they notice it? Well, I think it starts with that kind of focus of what am I doing here mentally, really. I mean, all the physical technique and physical practice gets kind of pulled up by your actual focus, your actual intention in the moment. So people will notice that they are just trying to stimulate the body, they're trying to get a result, they're trying to make their partner come, they're trying to make themselves come, they're trying to get some kind of a reaction out of the body. So that will feel like a mechanical experience both to you and to them. And actually, what's important to notice is that it's probably not even going to work. Like, for many women, it will not work at all. It's just a turn off. It feels like, the body is not engaging, and they experience it as something's wrong with me. My body is not working because when it's poked, it's not reacting, and as if it's supposed to react when it's just poked. But they will not be able to put a finger on it. So because they feel the absence of that life in the way their partner is treating them, and they're just not engaging. You were going to say something, because
I was just going to say there's something saying that one of the cool things you said one time was the opposite of love is working someone's body. I think that's really cool.
Thank you. I think it's, because you normally go to hate, but nobody hates the partner they're having sex with. But like the mechanical deadness of sex is the opposite of like really connected, loving, desiring, merging sex.
And a lot of people end up there, man, like in the mechanical dead zone of sex, where sex just feels flat. And because like I think that initially when you're having sex with someone, it's all new, and so there's a bunch of dopamine and it's novelty, and so there's like this natural electricity to it. But after a while, like the novelty wears off, and then you're with whatever depth of the practice that you've cultivated with that person. And so, it's like going to be hard to really just feel the same level of reveal around the sex you're having, because it's not new. It might require that we move away from that into more of a practicing of what's my intention here? My intention is to magnify the love we have together. And I think it's interesting too so since we're not separating the two, and saying that there are two separate buckets and one should not be used and one should be used, but saying that it's a range, that there are different intentions you can set on lovemaking. Would you say that the presence of love in the sex is a really great way to increase sensation for pleasure?
Yeah. People need to understand though what that means, because a lot of the time the very common response is, well, I'm in a loving relationship, so therefore there is love. And they always perceive this as, do you love your partner? As in, do you have kids with them? Will you ever live it? Will you ever leave them? Will you, like, do you care for each other? And like, you can be in a loving relationship, but your sex will be purely mechanical and contain no energy of love, just because your intention specifically in the space of sex is, how do I work the body? How do I make them come? How do I make myself come? So you have switched to that intention, and all the love from your relationship doesn't transfer. So we have to be, there's two things I want to say here. One is that, first of all, we are not even trying to just make sex all about love. Yeah. So I want to expand from that a little bit. Yes. That's not the bucket of nourishing sex. There you're creating really rich sexual energy. That's the best way I would describe it. Yeah. You're not looking to be entertained or like, just kind of enticed by something, but you're looking to create really rich sexual energy. Now, love will be one of the forces that creates it, but it's not the only thing this is about. Yeah, it still feels like a really rich substance. It's through the body. There's a lot of pleasure and everything. But in that, the second thing about it is that, yeah, when so what was the thread that how loving sex makes more sensitivity, you were saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, this is such a powerful part of us to want love, and like in all areas of life, with friends we want love, with our trade we want like recognition and be loved. Yeah, like
that. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, I was just going to say that it's just a very powerful part of what is happening here when you're coming from connecting through love and loving your partner's body. That just activates all the other things that are happening here as well, like pleasure, like the body, because the body is not stupid. The body is not mechanical. The body is intelligent.
Yeah.
The body can tell more than you if there is an experience of love here or not. Yeah, it reacts.
Yeah, that's something that like has really been profound in my own personal experience, has been what you just said, which is like, it's really powerful, our desire for love. It's really powerful, our desire to feel love, to feel loved by somebody, and to give love. And I think it's a really cool thing to do, to tap into that during sex, during intimacy, to say, how much do I love? How much do I want to be loved? How much do I want to feel loved in my heart? And the way that,
body.
And in my body, how much do I want my body to be loved? And that intention really begins to animate you in that moment in a different way.
It just makes everything authentic. When you're touching your partner's body, if you're trying to do it mechanically, you're trying to work the machine, that's what it's going to feel like to her or to him. When you're coming from like touching your partner with love, it's real. Like it's a real, I'm really enjoying being here with you. I'm really enjoying this moment, that's this pleasure, our bodies, the sexiness, the eroticism, everything. I'm really enjoying it. And that's kind of a part of that loving motion. It just makes everything you're doing just completely transforms in quality. And the impact of the effect of that, you can be trying to arouse a woman for an hour with mechanical foreplay, you'll get nowhere. And you can do that for 5 minutes with really powerful energy of love and everything you do. You can be doing exactly the same things, and in 5 minutes is going to come alive so much more.
And is it because there's a rhythm to the way that you touch someone? There's a communication that's happening with their body and your body, your hands, however you're choosing to engage with your lover's body physically. Is it because that when you're attending to the idea of love and you're feeling from love, that you're able to kind of sink yourself into this rhythm that's already happening between the bodies? or is it something else?
Well, think about it this way. There is no body. There's just you in the body. You are in the body. You know, a person. There's no such thing. We're not like touching the meat and the meat does something. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like what is the sexual body? It's nervous system. That's all. There's nothing else involved. Yeah. So what's the nervous system? And we're not even talking about just like some isolated nerve somewhere. It's plugs in straight into who this person is, what they feel. So the person feels. I mean, we all want to experience sex as an experience of some kind of intimacy, some kind of connection. People will say they don't want to, but like, you know, really that's why we are drawn to sex, you know, like maybe they will describe it in different words, but it's the person who's feeling like, what is your intention here? What are you doing to me? And the person feels like, do you really want to be with me? Are you enjoying it? You know, and that's why they respond. That's why they respond so much better, completely subconsciously, unconsciously. It's not even like it's not something they're doing intentionally. They just feel something's off, or this feels really good.
So you're saying that, okay, this is cool, bro. So you're saying that really what you're giving them is a feeling, and what they're feeling most more than the touch or the, you know, the friction of your movement is they feel your intention.
Well, there is communication, yeah. It's communication. But it's like direct communication from your body to theirs that like plugs into the somewhere in you that is like interpreting that communication, not on a conscious level. Yeah, so like your touch is communicating, and it can be communicating, you're a piece of meat I'm trying to work up, or it can be communicating like, I really like appreciate all this that you are, and you are just so hot and you're turning me on, you know, and like I really love touching your body and really love being here with you. So the person itself, the person himself, they don't realize this, but the kind of your nervous system is responding to that. Yeah, it absolutely is communication. That's a very good word that you used, and it's really miraculous. Actually, I've been really kind of stunned by this phenomenon in my work. It's really miraculous how sometimes people have experiences when, you know, like say a man is touching a woman, right, and he's focused on, he's anxious about his performance. He's actually anxious, like, you know, am I doing this right? So it's all kind of like this noisy communication. And then the very moment he goes into like, I'm just going to love her body. I'm going to just really kind of enjoy and savor and just really be here and connect with her body and love her through the body. That very moment, she opens up and she starts getting aroused and she starts feeling something. And the kind of the miracle of that is that neither of them communicated that this is what is going to happen now.
Yeah,
it was just like immediately perceived by the body. She doesn't even know what happened. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So that communication is very powerful. Yeah.
Savoring the body, enjoying the body, enjoying that person. It feels also too that, go for it.
I was just going to say that you can think of it as like different. There are different styles of loving in sex, right? It's not like it can be described in one word, savoring the body, enjoying the body, because people can also say, well, that just can be a little bit also like a consumption or selfish. There's a few things mixed in. Yeah, you really enjoy feeling your lover. You enjoy the moment of connection. You enjoy merging with them. Maybe there is a sense that you are also, you want them to feel loved. So it's like an outward, nourishing, loving intention to them. But there's also the erotic, because otherwise it's just cuddling. So there's also the erotic. Yeah. There's a large erotic component to that as well, that you are also kind of savoring the whole kind of richness and the beauty of their body. And it's not just this body is sexy, but I don't know, there's also different components in why somebody's body feels good to you, aren't there? Like it is about the feeling of it and how kind of rich it feels, but also how sexy, it looks and feels on you, and I don't know, it looks like there's an energy to it. Yeah. So it's all mixed in. It's all kind of goes all in one packet, and we can call that as kind of a way of treating the body with love.
It's interesting because when this first started, the insight was that there's a whole other idea of engaging with sex from love and connection and pleasure entertainment. Is kind of like, the way I had interpreted it initially when we talked was like, this is kind of a less valuable way to use sex. It's interesting to now see that it seems that there's just more of a range, that you want to have a richness to the energy you're creating, which includes pleasure, includes even like a light entertainment, like that's involved there, but it doesn't stop there. It even goes to this depth of love, savoring, appreciation. And it's interesting to me that it sounds like there's an idea that we're trying to sharpen, which is when there's a flow of love, it doesn't necessarily inherently mean it becomes this soft, cuddly session of lovemaking.
Not at all.
Can we talk more about that? How infusing it with the erotic and the passionate, that's really kind of what I think entertainment and say like pornography is trying to, animate and replicate, is more of the real passion that's created in the throes of lovemaking and erotic energy.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they do. I would say they're just engaging the same mechanism as Netflix, social media. It's just like a module in your brain. It doesn't necessarily also awaken a true passion, a true intensity of pleasure, intensity of erotic experience. Yeah, that's not the real distinction. I think like the easiest way to understand this is just to kind of draw some metaphors in just life. Yeah. Okay. Do you like watching TV? Well, maybe you do. You like watching you like watching a good series. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we have space for that. Yeah. But if I tell you now, your sex life, your life is going to be amazing and you will have lived a good life if you watch a lot of TV, what are you going to think? So there's also like aliveness in other experiences that feel more authentic to us, more like they're worth living. But we have space for that entertainment, and like there's no need to go all, hermit in the woods or something, and to not use any of kind of life's pleasures as well. It just doesn't, like, there's depth in other experiences that that goes beyond that. And I think the way we can enjoy sex is simply to be aware when we just want to have it for a bit of fun and just do something exciting, something entertaining. And that's like a facet of your sex life that everybody will enjoy. But everybody's aware in that situation that we're just having some fun. And it's cool, we're just having some fun today. But if that's the only thing we are doing for the rest of life, like, people will come to a point where they will start feeling, is there more to sex? There's just a lot missing here. I don't know what it is, but it's missing, So yeah. There's
a feeling of comfort and confidence with being able to allow your sex to move through that range, or sometimes it's just for fun. Sometimes it's more aimed at like connecting deeply. Sometimes it's aimed at, like just pleasure. What in your mind, what stops people from really being able to move more freely and more spontaneously in that experience? Maybe like some like the performance anxieties and stuff that people have about sex. Is my body going to respond? Am I going to do this good enough? They're kind of in their head and not in their body. What do you think stops people from really being able to like enjoy the range of sex and kind of get just like segmented into one way of doing sex so much that they overuse it to the point it just becomes flat?
Well, the main cause of it is just a lack of knowledge. It's just lack of awareness. It's a very narrow spectrum of education in sex that people receive. All education is about entertainment, even in like formal sex coaching and whatever sex content online that's supposed to help. If you pay attention, it's all about this is how to try this toy, try these novelties. So it's a lack of. I don't want to keep referring to skills, but like skills are artistry. You can create beautiful things with skills. People don't have them.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Just the ability to create sexual energy. People don't have the ability to create sexual energy that feels really nourishing, that, they can just cook it, they can create it, and they can create different experiences. And if they have them, they'll be able to go like, okay, today, like, this is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm at today. Let's go with this beautiful flow, but they don't, because they don't know how. So the only pathway that remains is, okay, what can I find here that will get me turned on? And so you keep activating that entertainment module, and that's like the only pathway so you can't break out of it,
That's what you're talking about right now, man, is really interesting to me. So instead of moving from a place of like, I'm kind of, there's a flatness, there's a lack here, and I'm trying to, like, get something from this, because that's pretty much entertainment in a nutshell, trying to distract myself from boredom. But more so, like, when you said,
it's less boredom. It's more like it's like this, and I know it sounds a bit sort of cynical, maybe even, but it's a bit like, but it's a bit like, we've got to have sex. How are we going to have sex?
Yeah, good point.
We've got to do this. the only thing that I know that works for me to get turned on and to have sex is this. And that's all I know so far. And that's why there is such a proliferation of this dogma at the moment that women need mental stimulation, because they're completely unable, most women, to connect through their body, to create sexual energy through their body. So it's always like, let's create some entertainment in the woman's mind, and women, for example, they rely on it, and more men these days as well. People just rely on it as the only way sex is going to happen for you. So it's more like a necessity than boredom,
That seems really interesting. We've got to have sex, and so this is the only way I know how to spark this up for me. And you're saying mental stimulation for women, for men, what, like a visual stimulation thing?
Well, for men, more and more, it's now also mental stimulation, and like, I want to be very careful here. We do have a spectrum of people, how people live their sexuality, and some people are real artists in mental stimulation. Like they just have very rich erotic life, and for them it's like a form of art, But as always, there's the other majority of people, perhaps, who are using it as just like the only tool they've got. And in that situation, it becomes basically, it's a symptom of desensitization.
So this what now?
Desensitization.
Okay.
So you have to rely on mental stimulation because you are unable to create sexual energy through like a natural contact of your bodies. Like, think about it, like why people always go like, why is sex so complicated? Why do you have to do all these things? Why can't it happen naturally? Why isn't it, we just go with the flow? My point exactly. Why can't it happen naturally? Why aren't you just feeling your body? Why, when you are kind of feeling each other's bodies, you don't get turned on from just feeling how amazing the body feels, but you don't.
Yeah.
You feel nothing. So you have to create all this, like, stuff to feel something, some kind of response in your body, because you're desensitized, because you're not able to feel sexual energy through your body,
Yeah, you're like, it's an augmented reality of sorts. You're like layering on, this moment is not good enough, so I need to add fantasy or add mental stimulation.
Yeah. So to your question, whether it's like for men or for women, for men it's visual. Probably that's an old truth. But I think if we take into account that kind of sex culture in general, sex industry, sex entertainment has made people really desensitized. They're now spreading, all the classic kind of age-old female problems have been spreading onto men massively.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so like, for example, many more men now are saying that they can't orgasm. The thing that has been classically difficult for women. So men obviously a lot of the time have got to this place through desensitizing their sexual response, essentially. Yeah, not always, but it's exploded. Okay, you'll have to cut this bit out as well because I don't have anything else to say.
No worries. Yeah. So what we were talking about prior was that the main thread that I was really interested in is people don't have the ability to create sexual energy. And so we're relying on these one or two little ways. Like, I've got to have sex. So I know this way works. And then so we've kind of seen that people are either people are very reliant on mental stimulation, especially guys too. And we're out of our bodies, which is historically maybe more feminine female thing that's happened. And now men are doing it too. So maybe we could pick right over that. What do you mean? You could explain it, and I could pull it right back around to creating sexual energy and how it can be more.
Because that's kind of goes back to this. People don't have the ability, but also kind of it's more than that. It's the entire sex education has been constructed completely around creating entertainment. So that's just what's been going on since the beginning. And by the beginning, I mean the 60s, because before that there was no sex at all, ever. And that's really interesting. I've talked about it in one of my podcasts. Like, my own reflection on that is that, when sex became okay in the 60s, it was still that was still received with like a lot of shame and discomfort, and still like a lot of society wasn't really accepting it fully. So and what that led to is that there wasn't like a really serious dive into trying to understand the experience of sex and what's really going on there, and why it is so meaningful and so important to us, and what can we do with that in a way that's really powerful and like a really good nutrition. Think about it like science of nutrition. Like how much research has gone into all of that, like how it all feeds us and how we know so much about it, because nobody was ever uncomfortable with food. So what happened is that basically was like an orphan area of knowledge that just got hijacked by the entertainment industry straight away.
Interesting.
And since then, it's only been run essentially by the management of the entertainment industry, if you think about it this way. Okay, so they now have research into oxytocin and brain areas. Now they're a bit more comfortable with it, but that ship has sailed a long time ago. The whole kind of generations have been educated. Just do whatever is fun. Just do whatever floats your boat. So and sex is a really interesting experience. Like it's a very profound, it's very holistic. There's so much going on there. There's so much that we could kind of understand and research. I mean, how just incredibly, if you think about how powerful generally different components of sex are in our normal life, feelings of connection, of intimacy, or closeness, or vulnerability, or love, or aliveness in the body, or energy of the body. I mean, those are all really powerful aspects in life, and sex contains all of them. There's so much going on there that you, if you really kind of dug into it, you could find certainly a really powerful way to turn that experience into your advantage, into amazing well-being and all the benefits it would bring to yourself, to your relationship, everything. But that didn't happen, because it's all been put into those rails of entertainment, because nobody was comfortable dealing with it. And now we've spent generations living there. And so it's not just people don't have the ability to create that experience, because it's never been kind of properly addressed. They've been educated all along for generations that it's all about fun and entertainment, because that's been kind of the dominant model. So that's the cause of it, really.
It's really interesting, man. I never thought about that through that lens specifically, and that is one of the reasons that a lot of sex eventually starts feeling flat for couples, because you're reenacting entertainment that you see, and you're trying to like recreate it instead of being creative and creating the flow of sexual energy together.
Well, it's like being with a partner just for jokes, like it's nice to have fun. It's nice to have a joke. It's nice to laugh. But like if every conversation you have with your partner, they just reply with a joke, it's going to be annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be like, well, there's nothing going on here, So, yeah.
What's interesting to me is the idea of creating sexual energy. That's one thing you mentioned earlier, Alexey, was people don't have the skill to create sexual energy. Can we talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, think about cooking. You have different ingredients, and you're putting them together, and you're creating something that's really nice. So we have the body, like the understanding of the body, how it's not just the places and like which finger you're using, but it's it's kind of like the process of it. Yeah, how does the body open up? How does the body feel? Like how you can combine different energies in the body, how you can like really raise them, how you can create like a really delicious energy rather than just like some superficial stimulation. So so it's what's called the realm of sexual techniques, but it's very, very, very one-dimensional way. Again, it's like sounds really mechanistic. For me, sexual technique is a much larger kind of complex of like abilities and skills. Some of it is understanding of the body. Like the body is always going to be there. Like you're always going to need to have like a physical understanding of the body. But a lot of sexual technique is also like mental and emotional. Like, what are we creating here? How am I focusing on this? What color am I creating? A lot of it is understanding of the process, of the flow. Like, how can I put it together so that it's really nice? Varieties. So that's all kind of understanding, and you can be a cook of sexual energy, basically. Yeah.
I've got a couple questions here. One of them, maybe this is helpful, maybe it's not, is where people make mistakes with trying to create sexual energy, where they might make a mistake, maybe too mechanical, trying to work someone's body. That sounds like a really strong warning sign. Don't work someone's body to try to make it do something. Are there a couple other, maybe another mistake that people might reach for out of ignorance to try to generate some type of sexual activity and not get much for it?
Well, there's our favorite one, focusing on the orgasm.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Being just too climax focused.
Well, you basically are not focusing on sexual energy at all. All you're focusing on is how do I work this machinery to get that result.
Yeah, we're still working the body, trying to get something from it.
Yeah, so there's no like, I'm feeling something really beautiful now, and this is good, and this is okay. That's the key. That's the key to creating sexual energy, is to understand that in every moment you are absorbing something. You're creating something that you're absorbing that is really beautiful. So this is the purpose of being here. The purpose is by minute. How long are you exposed to this stuff that you're creating? And when people are too focused on the orgasm, more importantly, they believe that the orgasm is what's going to bring it all, which it won't.
Bring it all. What do you mean, bring it all?
Everything. All your hopes are going to be fulfilled with an orgasm. No, literally everything.
Sometimes that's what it feels like. Like, if I could just get this, bro. If I could just get this nut.
Yeah. Well, as usual, don't confuse the craving with fulfillment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that's the promise, isn't it? That's like the unspoken promise. If you get the orgasm, you will get everything. Great sex life, great relationship. You will be together forever. You will have love. You will have connection. You will have an amazing life. But what from? From one sensation? How does that work?
Yeah, 100%. It is really interesting, Alexey, that a lot of the education and resources available for people that are trying to get more from their sex life with their partner is all about trying to create more sensation and create better orgasms instead of moving into more this stuff of the nourishment of it. Like, what are you getting from this? That's like a really, really interesting concept to me, the feeling nourished by your sex. I had never really thought about that much until our conversation a couple years ago.
Well, also, it's all backward, what you just said. Like, they're trying to improve this, they're trying to get better orgasms. How are you trying to get better orgasms? Like, what are you going to do for that? What are you going to do?
It's like going to get back to working.
You're going to move this faster? Like, how are you going to do that? You know? And we're not, like, I'm not against orgasm. People always think like I'm telling people not to have orgasms. Literally every single time I say, focus on the real value of sex, and there are orgasms included as well, but the real value of sex is much bigger. People always respond with, I don't know how to have sex without an orgasm. I never said to have sex without an orgasm. Just it's like, it's always like that. But yeah, it's more like kind of realigning that. Okay, again, let's do a metaphor. Okay, do you like to party? You like to party, fine. I'm telling you, well, think about like how, like, life is not only about the party. It's great to have a good party, but it's also great to have fulfillment, family, love, friends, travel, a trade, a dream, and parties. And people say, well, are you telling me not to party? No, I'm not telling you not to party. You see what I mean? Yeah. So with orgasms, like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to improve them? So when we create, like when we focus on creating sexual energy in every moment, that is like really good. That's the only way I can describe it. Well, you're making the whole body alive. You're making the whole body more responsive. There's just more richness everywhere. So that's the way to make more orgasms. It's all back to front. That's like when the body is more responsive, more alive, the typical orgasms are going to be easier. The more kind of ongoing flowing orgasmic experiences can appear. Like the different experiences that people can have. So all of that is going to grow out of that. Otherwise, like, you're trying to create an end result without all the process, all the foundation for it. It's not going to work. That's why people are frustrated.
And do you think, man, that the ability, from what I understand, is like the quality of the sex you're having is going to be a byproduct of the quality of the nervous system and the skills that you bring to the experience, how you have habitually related to sex, what you instinctively reach for. You're going to recreate that experience again. Like, do you think there are practices, like stuff like breath work or qigong, or certain ways that you engage even in self-pleasure practice that better rework your body's relationship to sexual energy so that you can show up and have more fulfilling sex with your partner?
I don't tend to involve in my work a lot of peripheral indirect practices. So basically on the logic that if I'm a sex educator, people come to me and they say, how do we have better sex? I'm like, well, here, do some qigong or do some yoga. Like, I'm not a yoga teacher, I'm a sex teacher. So that's kind of my outlook on it. The fact that, other things can help for sure. Like, it's clear to me when a client comes and they do some of those practices, or they do yoga, or they do qigong. I mean, their body is clearly different. Yeah. So, anything you do like that just generally raises awareness, maybe just even the concept as well of like doing something really kind of good for yourself and nourishing for yourself, but also awareness of your body, sensitivity with your body. All these things might develop it. But I tend to focus on kind of getting people to do that in sex itself. So that you don't need to do like peripheral, but people don't have time for it either. People can barely find time for sex. Most people struggle just to find time for sex. If you tell them, now you have to do an hour of qigong every day to have a better sex life, nobody's going to do it. So I think it's totally possible to rewire that during sex. You just need a bit of an intention and a bit of a bit of an excitement about creating a new experience and just explore it and totally, you can totally change all your patterns and all your wiring and even your sexual taste. That's another thing. People are so locked into this is what I'm into.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of music were you into when you were 18? Are you still into that kind of music, So, and sex is exactly like that. You can, like, whatever you're into, like we see it as a preference that this is what, like, now we need to give people buckets of that. But a more interesting question is, well, what do you want to be into? Because you can create whatever you want, and if sorry,
go for it. You got it.
No, I was just going to say that, okay, I'm into, boots turn me on. Okay. But I would like to be turned on by just the feeling of my lover's body and like making love. And you can teach yourself to do that.
That's the thing that's most interesting to me, man, is that I feel like there's maybe not peripheral practices, but even if your practice is just sex itself, like that it's not something you just like turn on in your brain and be like, okay, now I'm a much more present and appreciative lover with a much wider range of things that are arousing to me and engaging to me. But instead it's a skill you cultivate over time. Over time, you continue to expand your appreciation. Yeah.
Well, and then we go further.
Go for it.
Sex can be well-being and even a spiritual practice that goes beyond sex itself. And there's no coincidence that in some traditions they saw sexual practice as spiritually beneficial, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in sex that is, first of all, energy. Yeah. So the experience of sexual energy is on par with all the other energetic practices, if not more, when you go into it properly. Secondly, there's a lot going on there that's like, transformative. But like it could be a sandbox where people really kind of, so many people I worked with, when they get to kind of a certain experience in sex, they're like, well, actually, that's not a bad way to just generally kind of live your life and understand something about life and just be in that way, like sex is a great teacher as well. So it's not just the practice you're cultivating to get to kind of to improve your sexual experience. There's a lot you take out of it from that goes beyond. Again, it's a very mysterious experience, sex. Like, it goes so deep because it's so central to us. We can argue kind of sex has been a massive pillar of a human being for a long time. So like it plugs into many things, Yeah.
In some ways, like like Buddhism, like our feeling of separateness, the individual self is where we suffer the most, and our desire is to essentially be merged back with other, and there be only one. And maybe sex is like essentially like a microcosm of that desire being expressed fully. You're reuniting with other, and there's nothing but love.
Well, there is that moment in sex when that happens, and that it feels exactly like that. It's really beautiful, And there are many other experiences that can happen where you can kind of, it can be a reflection of other things that spirituality talks about. The feeling.
What else, maybe?
Sorry.
What else, maybe?
Well, it could be like the experience of just pure kind of aliveness, the experience of being out of your mind. People look for it. People look a lot of the time to be out of their minds, out of their head in sex, don't they?
Would you call that aliveness, like being out of your mind, just being alive?
Well, what can we call an aliveness? It's just that kind of feeling where everything's vibrating and you don't, you've kind of completely here immersed, you've disappeared, but you just feel that vibration of aliveness everywhere in you, between you. It's
in this conversation of creating sexual energy, I'm really interested to talk about your perspectives on polarity. The idea of polarity, what you think about the idea of masculine and feminine energies being what creates this arc of attraction, if that's something that you subscribe to. And then there's also some other teachers that I want to kind of ask your questions about.
Don't ask me questions about teachers, ask me about concepts. because I
Gotcha.
don't want to comment on like anybody personally. This is a very large question. You're gonna have to be more specific. What do you think
Sure,
about
yeah.
polarity?
Yeah. Okay. So let's put the polarity part aside. Specifically, what's on top of mind for me is like, so the other day I sent you a question, and said, let's see, some people say love seeks safety, closeness, and security, while erotic desire needs mystery, edge, and unpredictability. Do you disagree? You said yes. Please explain.
Braxton, you have a girlfriend.
See,
You're into her. You find her attractive, right? You're having a great time with her, right?
see.
Do you absolutely necessitate the feeling of mystery, edge, and unpredictability?
Not really.
Well, there you go. So
from my perspective on it, it's kind of like trying to recreate the initial novel discovery that you had when you first met someone, which is like, again, kind of this one groove towards enticement. You're kind of recreating enticement instead of what you sound like is more like, if you cook with someone for dinner every night for 10 years and you really bring an intention of creating delicious meals together and working as a team together, then you can create this skill that you and that person will be able to create more sexual energy and more nourishment than you would with someone else because of your continuous practice together.
yeah, totally. I think it's really tragic that this has become, it's like, it's not a new idea. Like this has been like this. This idea has been kind of the dominant idea for a long time, that basically sex is about like maintaining separateness, maintaining novelty, maintaining excitement. And that's when people get close and intimate, they lose that separateness and novelty, and that's why things get boring. And I've always been at odds with this idea, and more than that, I've always felt it's really tragic that we have defined. It's like a human being just can never be happy. You want to be close, but as soon as you get close, you lose interest. Like, what the hell? No, that's when it begins. When you're close, it's like just kind of just getting there for the sake of getting there, and now it's done. That's when it begins. That's when you can you can explore the novelty of this, of sexuality, of sexual energy together as a team, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it's really tragic that it's kind of like stimulating people to become essentially strangers when they are not strangers anymore. Like, first of all, it's fake. Secondly, it's I don't know. It's like, a yo-yoing all the time. Like when you meet somebody and they are novel and they are mysterious, whatever, you're exploring them. Have you ever noticed just how powerful is your drive to really connect deeply, intimately with this person? Like when you really like them, when you really kind of want to be with them, yeah? Just like somebody who's using somebody. Like you just like everything in you just really wants to be close, wants to connect, wants to be intimate. So that's your, pay attention to that. That's your ultimate drive, And then this proposition that as soon as that happens, we've killed something. I mean, that's just tragic.
Yeah.
So I think, no, that's when you build on it. And there's another thing that, I find very, very problematic with this idea. Okay, if everything runs on novelty, is that
essentially the core?
Is that okay? Yeah, everything runs on novelty. What's the ultimate novelty?
A new person.
Can you ever beat that by your partner who faking being a new person? Can they ever beat a new person?
Of course not.
If your whole mind is oriented that this is what you need for sex, this is doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really, really appreciate the idea that the novelty that you seek because novelty is a fun part of like, just like we've been talking about earlier, like this is a range. So like enjoying some novelty in sex with your partner is a great thing. New flavors, new tastes, new experiences. But those can be found in the depth of the experience you cultivate with one another, and not necessarily trying to layer on newness or bring in another person or trying to dress it up with something or like, here, wear this, that kind of thing.
I think what happens is people misunderstand a little bit the concept of intimacy and closeness. And I think that's where like those ideas that they may kind of, gain ground and they may seem like a solution, because a lot of people, I can't describe it in any other way, but they're just really lazy about intimacy. They not badly mannered. So like people think that intimacy is when you just wear dirty boxer shorts in front of each other or go to the toilet in front of each other. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like people get to that stage where they just like treat each other as buddies.
Okay.
And a lot of the time people kind of object even to not being able to do that because, well, hey, we're intimate, like we're close, we are like all together, right? So, and that's, you're going to kill sexuality this way. And then there are like, equivalents of that in the communication dynamic, maybe like, being rude to each other becomes okay because we're intimate. Like snapping at each other. Oh, it's because this is how I am. I don't want to like modify myself for you, so I'm going to snap at you. Your
family.
So this is all defined as intimacy a lot of the time. So for me, like intimacy, closeness is one thing, but culture is another. Maintaining culture in a relationship. Like you remain a man with a woman with a man. You don't like erase this and become buddies. Like in front of your mates, you can go and you can have a piss on the wall, but like you can't do that with your woman, with your man. So it's kind of, I don't think you need to create novelty in a relationship. Or like mystery. I don't think that's necessary, but you need to maintain culture so it doesn't slide into this just So you need to like take care of how you look as much as you can. Like everybody wants to be comfortable at home, but like really, you can make a little bit of effort for the person who's the most important to you, not your boss, right? You need to take care of how you speak to each other. That you're always like aware that you're a man or you're a woman. You're not just like faceless person. So talk to each other all the time as a man and a woman. So all these little details. It's almost like that phase of dating in the beginning, where you've been dating for like a few months or something, and it's not like you all turned up to the first date and you don't know each other. You're all dolled up. Obviously, you're more relaxed. But you're not so relaxed that it's completely like just like on the couch and So like, and that phase, that when you get to that place in dating after a few months, for me personally, that needs to remain for the rest of your life. It's not difficult. It's like it's just like looking after it a little bit, tending to it.
Interesting. I like. It seems it's very interesting, man. That it's not like you're. We want intimacy, but you're still keeping a level of respect and expression that you want to feel that you're attractive to that person. You're not saying like, now you have to see all of the disgusting parts of my life. You have to see me go to the bathroom and, like,
hey man, you gotta do it when you gotta do it. There'll be times in life when there'll be childbirth, there will be illness, there will be all sorts of things, but you just don't gotta do it when you don't gotta do it.
100%. I think too that like one of the last things that are top of mind for me here is the talking about that sexuality needing separateness and mystery, and instead we're talking about creating a depth with lovemaking that doesn't necessarily require separateness in that way. What's interesting to me is it seems that like it's more about facilitating desire, the separateness. It's more about like, ooh, I want that. Kind of like people talk about like a fun role play is like, let's go to a bar at different times, meet each other like we never met each other, and go home
Yeah.
together, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, it seems to me that another way to do that, to create more desire for sex together, is to just have better sex.
Yeah.
And that would be on this side of like of creating novelty through depth instead of additional layers. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going to happen with that is, if you, it's exactly what you said, and that's a very, very solid foundation for a relationship that will last forever. And you don't need to play games, you know, and that is being able to create sex, like you said. So you're able to create sexual energy. Right now, we are together. We start feeling each other's bodies. We start really creating this really, you know, people think it's fake. It's not fake. Like, is the food that you cooked fake? You know, it's beautiful. You create real, authentic sexual energy, probably even more authentic than when you're trying to play games in a bar, right? If we look at it this way. And then what's going to happen is, because you are generating sexual energy between you through sex, that's going to express as desire. So today you create the sexual energy. Tomorrow you walk past your partner and you just like, you feel horny and you have desire, you know, natural desire from seeing your partner for who they are, not from them, you know, trying to be somebody else. So you have those then kind of those dynamics and sexual energy in a relationship where we can create sexual energy when we need to, and we can just go with it when we don't need to.
Yeah.
And it just naturally fluctuates. There'll be days when you don't need to, it happens, and there are days when it doesn't happen, but you're not like, oh, now we can't have sex. Oh, now we need to like stimulate ourselves. No, let's go and have it. You know?
I think that's another really, really useful insight and practice for caring for the sexual currency in your relationship, is respecting it. Almost like in my own personal healing journey with my own sexuality, like a big part of that was learning to respect my sexuality as a kind of a, just for thought, like a separate part of myself. Like, I'm not going to just use my body in order to gain pleasure so that I can feel better in the brain. I'm going to respect my body's arousal. And if I'm not aroused and turned on, I'm not going to like engage with myself sexually. That was a really useful insight for me. So in the same way, like with your partner, like you may feel close and love and touch and feel their body and vice versa. And it may create this like nice energy together, but not quite feel like it becomes this magnetism that you guys just want to have sex right there. And so instead of feeling like you have to do something about it, that you need to have sex, that sex is supposed to happen, just to let it be what it was. And in the next day or 2 days or so on, when it happens on its own, organically, it's not something you're trying to create out of this kind of like need for it, then it's much better. And you have to respect it when it's not there.
So what's sex?
What is sex?
So if this wasn't sex, what is sex?
I mean, I would define sex as like typically involving, I mean, obviously you could take the obvious. I mean, I kind of get where you're going with it, that it's whatever you end up having. But like let's just say it's just a cuddle and a kiss. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say it's that, you know, not quite sex.
Okay.
But you can feel that this is what it looks like at the beginning of sex. You know, there's like closeness and then maybe some kissing or touching and stuff. And so, you know, this is supposed to kick off a deeper exploration of each other's bodies.
Is it?
Maybe, I mean, obviously not. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that it
obviously not.
Yeah, obviously not. Like, it doesn't have to go anywhere. And I think that one of the most powerful practices for me and my life has been with my partner, being present with what's here. If there's a kiss and a touch, that's beautiful. And when it feels like you're being moved to move further into that intimacy, go for it. If not, then enjoy where you're at, you know, that kind of thing, respecting it, you know. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense. I think you're taking like quite an extreme example, which is difficult to argue. But if we bring it a little bit closer to the middle, so a touch and a kiss, that's not much more than that. But if we are talking about like a little bit of time that we spend feeling each other's bodies, and it doesn't go further into like strong excitement or penetration or whatever, but we spend some time in some really nice feelings, mildly erotic, like really nice. Okay, so now we are drawing a definition that this is not sex, because sex starts at a particular threshold. And like what I encourage is for people to just expand what sex is and think of it as different colors, or like different kinds of music you might be listening to on different days. So you just feel like having different kinds of music. And I'm not going with it that, okay, from now on you just cuddle and that is going to be your sex life. Obviously not. But I'm saying that, this rigid definition of, okay, it's not sex if it's not penetration. I mean, that's really tiresome. That the people have been saying this for like, okay, like when people say this, oh, then it's not sex. I'm like, all I want to say is, well, there's just so much more you haven't discovered, because that experience in the body that you might have, even without using the genitals, if you know what you're doing, it might sometimes be the most incredible thing that will like stun you.
Because you're bringing up what? You're bringing up sexual energy,
but what is sexual energy? It's like if I tell you techno is music, nothing else is music. Okay, now we only going to hear techno and say that's music. But if we're talking about sexual energy, and I say that all music is music, and all of that is sexual energy, it's just a definition in your brain that says this is not sexual energy. Who said? Well, the internet said that that's not sexual energy. What if we actually explore sexual energy and we discover that all of these experiences that happen in the same places in us, they have the same beneficial effects, they have a really powerful impact on our relationship? Why are we not calling this sex? Yeah.
Are you saying, like, just so I can make sure I'm understanding here, are you saying like maybe when you're with your partner and it's a cuddle and a kiss, maybe you think to yourself, like, how would my body be feeling right now if we're using the definitions, having sex, quote unquote, how would my body be? Would it be more relaxed, deeper breaths? Would I have more of an openness or a flow of love in my heart? And kind of facilitating that, infusing that with even the more quote unquote non-sexual moments.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, people don't enjoy sexual energy in their body in a more fluidity throughout life, throughout different experiences, because they're quote unquote not sex. We say it's not sex. So I'm not like having sex right now. But instead, maybe a good practice would be to, like, imagine even during the quote unquote not sexual moments where it's just maybe a little bit of a touch, or it's, some eroticism, some stimulation, but it's not quite penetrative sex in the way we would define it. But to ask yourself, how would my body be feeling right now if I was having sex? What would the energetic state of my body be at right now if I was having sex? And try to bring that to the moment you're having, to expand upon what moments you allow yourself to enter that state of sexuality.
I'm not sure, because you are feeling it already. You don't need to imagine what you would be feeling. You are feeling what you're feeling. And that experience, if you're listening to it, is very beautiful. And it's here is a good exercise. Instead, try not to use the word sexual energy. Try to use always an adjective before sexual energy.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, is it intense sexual energy? Is it subtle sexual energy? Is it nourishing sexual energy? Is it like, sexy, erotic sexual energy? Yeah. Because we've let's say we have a range of 100 different feelings, which you can experience in sex. And we said what this one feeling is called sexual energy. So all the other ones, they're not called sexual energy. Just because it's a linguistic accident. It's not because they don't exist, and it's not because they don't feed you or they don't nourish you. It's just that the convention is not to call them sexual energy. That's where I'm going with it. What if by expanding this, you will discover that some of that sexual energy, sometimes that you don't call sexual energy, is more like makes you feel more amazing than what you normally call sexual energy. What if that happens? Would you call it sexual energy then? But how would you get there if you don't open your mind to that there are sexual energies that don't exist. And maybe you just feel what you feel, and you feel how beautiful it is, and you feel the impact of it, and don't call it anything. But for you, it's fully valid because it feels really incredible, you know. So I'm not talking about like putting your sex life onto a different rails of doing just that. I'm saying there's a variety, there's a range. So back to your point, yes, today maybe you'll just do that. Like a kiss and a touch is a bad example. I wouldn't call this sex either, even by my definition. Okay,
Sure,
it's a kiss and a touch. But if there was some kind of like an experience where like some of that energy that's in my definition sexual energy, somebody else's definition not yet, has been exchanged. And today
it would be rated R on a movie screen. Like, yeah, if it would be rated R on a movie screen, that.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah,
fair,
like, I guess
fair.
that touch is fine, but like it's sex as if it's rated R.
Hey, you know what? That's not a bad criterion actually. Yeah. Now think about it. Maybe you're right. Yeah, that's
Sure,
a good boundary. That's a good boundary. Yeah. So today it was this, and then tomorrow it can be something totally different. You haven't lost anything. I'm not telling people, oh, now you need to just do this. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you don't feel like doing something else today, you would just do nothing anyway.
Exactly.
What's the point?
Exactly.
All of this goes into the bank. All of this is like, it's more energy that you're going to feel tomorrow, and then tomorrow, etc. And then it's going to come to that, you know, whatever it is that you call sex. Yeah.
100%, man. I love that. I love that so much. And being able, that's like such a great practice. Being able to have rated R moments that don't have to go anywhere past where they are right now. And you might have a little bit of exchange. Maybe it's like, you know,
they're not moments. They are experiences. They are time that you spend there. So again, quite often the best analogy between sex for sex is music. Let's say you wanted to put some music on for 15 minutes. Like, what would you put on? You know, it can be wildly different from one day to another, depending on like where you're at.
Yeah.
None of it is more valid than another.
Yeah.
Completely different, totally different, because like you need something different today. And one of the very underexplored areas in sex is the kind of the more relaxed, the more subtle sexual experiences. Something really profound, really, really powerful happens there, but it doesn't feel intense physically. But we completely dismiss them as if they don't exist. You know, we don't call them sexual energy, but you know, the impact they have sometimes is much more than the intense sex. So it's just kind of expanding your mind to that. You know, there's this whole range of music that you could be enjoying, and it doesn't mean that tomorrow you have to enjoy the same kind of music. But today, that's what you want. Instead of forcing your body or not doing anything, you can just kind of do that, and you can, you know, they're like. Obviously, you know, we can't be too specific, like where the boundary is. Where is it just a kiss and a touch? So it is a little bit of a gray area, but it's certainly way before. If it's not penetration, it's not sex, or if it's not like, you know, oral, it's not sex. Yeah.
And I think that the most grounded application of this is just not feeling that you and your partner have to come. That's the thing that for me is the most like been really useful. Is like you have a sexual moment or an experience, but you're kind of now you're feeling like a little bit like you've had enough. Your body's good. You don't really want any more, but feeling like, oh, this I have to finish with coming, or they have to come before this. That's the finish. That's when this is over, and just letting it go and just saying that was a really beautiful experience, and now let's go get some food, or let's just watch TV, or like, you know, those kind of things. Not having to take it anywhere, because that can feel a little anxious, like too. If you feel like if you're thinking about performance, you're like, oh well, I wasn't able to last in this experience. When it's just your body was like, you had enough. Then that's the end.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, you actually don't need to come. Yeah, because there's a certain threshold where like your body really has that kind of energy built up, where you can, like, if you're not going to come, you need to do something. So you need to close that energy, you need to spread it out, you need to disperse it, you need to, like, it's all, it can all be very good. You can ride intensity and not calm, and it can be really great for you. But you don't need to do this every time. You know, like there's a lot of advice online about how to have, like, whatever non-ejaculatory experience, and it's all based on, like, holding back and doing something, kind of fighting that urge.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the time you can have experiences that gets nowhere close to it. You don't feel even that you're anywhere close to needing that in the first place. It's just an experience of, like, charging up with all of that. Feels great, like your whole body is alive. You know, you don't even feel that there was any, like, issue with, you know, how am I okay without coming? Like, it wasn't even, like, in the picture.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the teachings in that area are, like, how to be able to survive intensity, like how to like focus on not coming. And instead, something that we've talked about before that I think is really useful is that one of the reasons that you're even preoccupied with the idea of how not to come during sex is because the sex you're having is so high on the intensity. Like, the only feelings you have in your body are the more intense, kind of like those 8, 9, 10 before your nervous system reaches its capacity. And, you know, like, instead work on resensitizing your body so that you're able to experience the really wonderful gifts of sexual energy at more subtle altitudes.
Yeah. I think part of it is capacity, like you said, that you know, it's kind of premature to think about how can I have non-ejaculatory orgasmic experiences when you can't feel most of sex. Like, to have that as a first task, I mean, there's a lot of groundwork that hasn't been done. So, and that's why you already will be in that very kind of tense place where that's the only kind of part of the range when you start feeling something. And then you are trying, like you say, to just fight it all the time, and you're going to be very bad at fighting it as well, because your system is, like, doesn't have the capacity, it's on the edge. But another part of it is, it's also, like, the mindset. What's all this obsession with multiple orgasms and non-ejaculation orgasms? Like, I'm not judging it. It's an interesting experience. Okay, yeah, you want to explore it, but it's almost like, again, same thing. Well, all your hopes are going to be fulfilled. Like, if you do this, then everything is going to be, like, amazing forever. Your whole relationship. You just, like, replacing one orgasmic something with another orgasmic something. The concept still remains the same. All chassis. So, like, the whole point is to shift to understanding that we are creating this in every moment. And that is always infinitely far more enriching than any specific technique you're trying to do there at the end. Like, that multiple orgasms is also not going to, like, really rock your world. Okay, interesting, curious. What's going to really, really change things is when you are creating some really amazing energy in every moment. You know?
And to me, it sounds more like you're just trying not to create a goal at any point, where your goal is now to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, or your goal is something. The goal is to be really present, and the goal is to feel what's happening right now. And it seems like the depth of your presence is probably one of the greatest influences of the sex you're having.
Well, the goal is to, I don't know, like, we live in our life and we have a beautiful experience that lasts for a certain time. And that experience is beautiful in itself. It has a lot of, like, enrichment for your psyche, for your body. There's a lot of enrichment from it. I don't know another word how to describe it. You know, what's the goal in life? To have a good life. You know, to live a life where you kind of enjoy the good things that life is about. So it's the same goal in sex. It's not goalless. It's not like, oh, you know, let's just be, like, you know, goalless, like a Buddha. It's just kind of understanding the fake goal. Like, what they've told you one intense sensation is going to make everything in your life okay. Like, how, you know? So
and two, man, like, one thing that's really cool about working on developing sensitivity in the body is when it does move past physical sensation and it moves into like
very interesting.
Because I mean, there's like there's pleasure you can understand and there's pleasure you can't understand, and the stuff you can't understand is so cool. Like you know certain areas of your body feel good when they're stimulated. So like, but you know, when you kind of relax the obsession over trying to reach a certain level of physical pleasure and instead really open into the experience, and one like then the pleasure you have is sometimes unexplicable. And one thing that's really interesting to me is instead of seeing orgasm as like something to reach that you're striving for, seeing it as like something that you fill up with and just you can continue to like receive more. That's been something really useful for me as a man, because I feel like sometimes we think we're giving to our partner, we're like penetrating, and so we're kind of like we're entering them and not receiving much, but instead feeling like to get really specific and graphic, like the penis entering the vagina or the penis or into the body or being stimulated, like the amount of it's like receiving energy through that area in the body to then fill the rest of the body up. And the filling of the body with this energy is what reaches these heightened states of pleasure, which we would call orgasmicity, instead of trying to strain to get to something specific like that ejaculative orgasm that a lot of people are purely refined to understanding pleasure through.
But also the thing that you mentioned at the beginning, where it goes beyond pleasure. But you don't know how to, it goes beyond sensation. You don't know how to describe it.
Because it's like you're not focusing anymore on this area. You're kind of seeing like, you know, my whole body is being filled right now with the energy and it feels good. And almost kind of playing with the idea of like, instead of saying, I know where this feels good, open the wonder up and say, how does this feel good? Where does this feel good? In a way that you don't know.
Can I just double back to the conversation we had that sex needs a mystery? This is a real mystery. Great connection. Fantastic. We don't know what this is. Like nobody has done any research. This is way beyond any sex research. We feel it. You know, I have a lot of experience of feeling the things that you're talking about. I know that a lot of people I worked with have had them. You cannot describe it as a sensation. You can't describe it as pleasure. It's completely like you feel it very clearly. You feel like this is something really incredible. What is it? Nobody knows.
And those are like that with the intention of I want to feel loved and I want to give love is, to me, puts my experience in such a space that is unlike any, you know, like any type of previous lovemaking.
Man, if we were listening to like a spiritual talk by some guru right now, this would be way deeper than what they would be saying. You know, like what's the experience you're describing, what you're feeling. I
like that a lot. And I think that, I don't know, man, because like part of the developing sensitivity during sex for me has been the peripheral practices, like you know, the qigong stuff, the mindfulness practice stuff, and like that. But it seems more powerful to bring in. Those seem useful in not just the ways that they increase my perception of sensation in the body, but increase my perception of energy in my body. And some of those energies are love, and those energies are wonder, and those energies are bliss.
It's interesting because I had the opposite experience.
What do you mean?
Well, I got into qigong much later in life, and I love it. But for me, it was the opposite. Like for me, I immediately felt a lot in qigong. Like
sensation loss.
Just the energy of the practice. Like for me, because of the experience of sex on that level, for me it was easier. Like quite easy to connect with the experience of qigong and to practice it for myself, because it kind of happened for me immediately.
That stuff, it's kind of strange just how impactful the intention is in that area. You know, like if you think about doing qigong, or you think about doing like a seated practice where you breathe and you like breathe up through your feet or something, you know, like really pull up energy through your feet and then try to like have it really saturate the heart, or saturate your organs, or saturate your body. You know, initially when I started to practice, I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. This is kind of like, you know, imagine that your heart is being filled with energy now. But it is. It is. And then you bring that type of, you know, you can intend to like do a certain move during sex. That's okay. Or you can intend to really open your heart during sex, or intend to really allow this energy you're having to touch your heart. And that might sound like an abstract idea, but like roll it up and smoke it, man, because I think it's worth the try.
Well, you know, there's I remember having a conversation with my Qigong teacher about kind of the concept of qi moving your movement. Like, you know, letting the qi direct your movement. And I'm like, so are you directing the qi with your intention, or does the qi move your movement? Or so rather, like, are you directing the qi with your intention, or like the qi just goes and you follow? And he said, well, it's both at the same time, which is really interesting. So you're following the movement of qi, but also at the same time, you're directing the movement of qi, and they are kind of blended and they are together. And I feel that in sex, it might be something similar. There is an intention of what you would like to feel here and what you are creating. There's like a vision of what would feel nice, but at the same time, you are listening to what is here, and you're noticing it at the same time, you know. So I think that's how it's created.
It's definitely one of the most useful tools here, is listening to what's already happening. Intending, you know, using some of those intentions, maybe to intend that you feel your heart open, or intend that you feel, you know, your pelvic floor or something open and kind of relax and receive energy. Those are really useful, but also to open up the wonder and the mystery of what else is happening here that I can't quite facilitate through my intention. What can I become aware of instead of intending?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of naturalness in sex, natural energy that's there. And if you listen to it, it is, it's kind of like guiding you. It's leading you what is happening and what to do next.
Natural, there's a lot of what?
There's just like a lot of natural energy between your bodies. If you just like, if you just like, the thing that kills everything is, you know, trying to do something, trying to perform. I mean, that's just like, once we got here now to this point, when we talk about like trying to perform, you can almost feel, can't you, the kind of the abrasiveness of that, like the kind of the whole, how it ruins everything, right? You sort of like jarring to even imagine the concept, right? So, you know, there's a lot of natural energy between the bodies with your lover, because this is like much more than qigong, because they're like your bodies, they like each other, they speak to each other, they feel each other, they're already magnetic. So if you're just listening to that, it's happening, and from that you're feeling what is happening, and you kind of like, you have a sense of what's like a natural next thing to do. And you can totally, this is how to have spontaneous sex that feels authentic. You know, people often say, just ask her what she likes. Just ask him what she likes. It doesn't work. Nobody knows what they like. No, I can't tell you what I want here, and I don't want to say what I want. Many women feel the same way. I don't want to, like, you know, oh, I want 1, 2, 3, 4. You're feeling something, and you're like, oh, does this feel good? Does it feel right? If it doesn't feel right, let's adjust it until it feels right. Okay, now it feels right. Now, what's the next thing that I feel like doing? And it's moving like this from A to B. There's only 2 points at every moment. There's where I am now and what's the next thing I want to do. And there's nothing else. There's no script. Yeah.
That is the moving from what you feel instead of moving to try to feel.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, I mean, if we're going to go back to that analogy with Qigong, maybe a little bit of both. Not trying to feel, but like, there's also like, well, there's part of it is artistry as well, isn't it? Like, I know that if I do this, I'm going to feel this. I know this from my artistry. So kind of like, I also play with that. But also I feel what is there. And that is feeding me, and that gives me a sense of what is the nice next thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I always see like in my head the idea of like kind of like, growing a flame or like an ember or something into a fire. Like, you work with what's there, and you're really patient and present with the subtleness of the energy that is there. That's maybe not super intense, but it is a very legitimate energetic reaction that's happening.
Yeah.
And I can feel whenever I lose it during intimacy, when I move past it, when I rush past what I can't feel to try to create something I can feel.
Yeah.
And it almost always is really useful to come back and say, like, because like even one of the things you mentioned at one point was like when you penetrate your partner, like just sit there for a bit, just stay there for a while, because there's already a lot happening. There's already a lot that's going on. And if you can feel that already for you and for her, this is going to be a much more beautiful experience, because you're feeling what's already present, and then movement that happens with that feeling is orgasmic already.
Can be. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that the patience, though, I think that's probably what stops a lot of people, like, to make this package this to be relevant a bit more for people that are not in this as deeply as we focus on. Like, I think that it can be challenging to enter that experience at times because you feel a little bit rushed. Like, you feel a little bit, you need to do something. It's happening. It's happening. Everybody, let's do something. Like, the sex is happening. Instead of, like, because you think, oh, sex looks like this. There should be movement. There should be a lot. There should be confetti going off. When in fact, we don't have to reach for that. We don't have to reach for this certain outcome. It's just presence with what's happening.
Yeah, that's the thing. There is no need for patience, because patience presumes there is something that, like, you're waiting for, that you are trying to not go too fast. There is nothing like that. You can have two energetic states, I suppose, in that moment. You can be either like wanting, like a craving to do more, but maybe like you feel like you shouldn't, maybe because of your partner, maybe because of this concept that you should be slower or whatever. So your energetic state might be like impatient, in the sense of like wanting to do more, but you're trying to slow down. Or your energetic state might be just, no, this is lovely, and let's enjoy this moment for as long as it's lovely. And then when it stops being lovely, let's make the next moment. That's totally fine. There's nowhere else. Yeah. But the energetic state what the people feel when they're impatient, there's a curious thing with it. You don't need to do anything else, because you already, if you already have such a strong energy, it means that you can be here and you will feel strong sexual energy. So again, it comes back to, do you know what I mean? If the purpose is to fill up with sexual energy, to feel it through you, well, then it's already happening, like, very strongly for you, apparently, if you're so impatient. So just take it in,
Yeah. I love that. I love that insight.
Well, the idea is, like, think of it as pedaling the bicycle.
Yeah.
Do you need to pedal or not? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes.
No. As in, like, if you don't need to pedal, you don't need to pedal.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, like, if you need to, you add something, and, like, if you're already going, then you only need as much as you need, really.
Yeah. And two, generally just making a practice of not adding more to try to feel more, right? Would you agree with that? Like, get back to feeling first and then move, then begin more movement, then begin more stimulation, then begin more friction or more.
You mean
like reconnect with it?
You mean when you lose it?
When you lose it, yeah. Like
when you lose it, it's always best to reset like this. Yeah, it's never a good idea to try to do more if you lose it. If you were feeling something and then you say that you were kind of tried to do more and you lost that connection, you lost that energy. If you're trying to push through it, it's only going to make it worse. Normally, it's better to it's better to like immediately kind of, it's like a moment you notice, well, I'm doing too much here. That I'm doing something I don't want to do. It's like that kind of feeling. I feel like I'm doing something I don't want to be doing. So you just go to what you feel like you want to be doing. What does it look like right now? Is it just, I just need like a moment just to hold each other? Is it that I need to move slower? Like, what do I feel like? Yeah. That then allows you the space to reconnect back with your body, almost like in a like a baseline, like creating the space, and then from that you start moving again, but then it becomes more acute again.
And there's a difference.
You feel more,
Just to make so like just something comes to mind, like in that moment where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm doing something I don't want to do, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And two things come to mind. Like one, you can go like, I know there's something else that I would enjoy doing, so let's move to that. But then there's also where you're trying to like, I know this has been a like generated sexual energy for me before, so let's do this. Versus like, come back to baseline and feel again without a plan what this energy wants. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Seems to be two different options.
I think either or. I think there's not right or wrong here. I think it's kind of, it's very context dependent. I think it could be something like, okay, I just need to, maybe it's just a little bit like calm for me. I need to like, if I have a bit more pace, I will feel more. And maybe that could be legitimate. That's just your knowledge of sexual energy. Or it can be like, no, I'm overdoing. And if I overdo even more, then it's definitely not in the right direction. So I need to like reconnect first and then start doing again.
Yeah. I mean, unless you got more on that, man, I feel like that's a lot of really good stuff.
I think so too.
Yeah. Anything else that we haven't touched on that's like any open loops for you in this conversation?
Not really. It was kind of like just flowed with it and talked about some good things. I don't remember where all the loops are, but if you do,
just that to go past physical sensation one more time.
That's an interesting one.
During intimacy, if you do feel that moment where you're like, I'm doing something I don't want to be doing, it could be a need to do something else or reset. It also could be a reminder to adjust your intention, that maybe my intention is too focused on the physical sensation, and instead I can move back into, where is the pleasure already in my body that I can feel that may not be so, like niched down that I'm focused on right now. It could be an inspiration for you.
Yeah, I think generally, how would I summarize it? You've got to be feeling something now. You can't be just like doing something because you're not feeling anything now. That makes sense. You can't be doing something in the hope that you will feel something if you do something.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like that is already in the wrong direction. You've got to be feeling something now. You feel something that's like, I'm already feeling some goodness, some kind of really nice energy here, but I want to take it in that direction from here. Yeah. So I think that's a good benchmark. Yeah.
That's why I love the question, where does this feel good already?
Yeah.
And expanding it past just physical, but also, is there a quality of just it's like enjoyment, or a quality of just like, it's really nice to be with my person. It's really nice to be naked with them. It's nice to be touching them. It's nice to feel their presence with me. It's nice to be looking in their eyes, or even the temperature of the room is nice. Or like this, I love the feeling of this blanket on my back. Like, this is, like,
you got nowhere to be, and this is not your last day on earth. So, you just, okay, it feels good. It feels good. Right now, it feels good in this way. Tomorrow, we're going to do something else, or 2 minutes later. If this feels good, let's just really really feel good and really enjoy it. And then it will be natural for you to feel what's the next thing that feels good from that. When this is done, I think one of the really, really good kind of mindsets in sex is, let it be done before you do the next thing. Like you're beginning holding each other, and that already feels lovely. Okay, well, when you're bored of it, do something else. But don't feel like you need to hurry up through the next 5 stages straight away.
Yeah.
You're going into the vagina, like the example you gave before, and you just stay in stillness for a while. Well, obviously, at some point, it's going to start losing its appeal. But if at the moment, that first contact, you feel this is like really nice right now to feel her. So stay with it until it's done, then start moving. And you can treat everything in sex this way. Even like lasting longer. I mean, that's a it creates a real revolution in those in that context, because one of the things that men struggle with all the time is like pacing is too much. They're just doing too much. They're overstimulating themselves. Why? Because you're stacking movement all the time. Like give it more spacing. Okay, so you moved. Oh, this is really good. You absorbed it. Then you moved again. Okay, like if you're not doing that, if you're not absorbing and you're stacking all the time, that's why it gets you to so close to ejaculation. It's just that mindset of like, I don't need to do more if I'm already feeling a lot.
Is there a pace that might look like generate, absorb?
Yeah. So it can either be ongoing. So every movement creates a wave, essentially, that you're absorbing. So you can have it go in parallel.
Like, makes sense.
You're moving, you're absorbing. You can do it in bursts. So there's a burst of movement, like love generation. Then we, take a moment, let it all kind of absorb, channel it, and then we move again. So you can do it either way.
Yeah. One of the last questions I would like to ask you is like about connection during sex, about experiencing connection during sex. I use the frame of reference, like for love, this is my touch is how I love her. My the way I
just all
approach
of
her with. Yeah, all of it is. This is an expression of how I love you.
Yeah.
Is there like a phrase or a thing for the connection aspect? Like, this is how I desire to connect with you, or like, this is how, like something like that,
That's the greatest mystery of all. I don't mean to be poetic, but it is. I think connection is the greatest mystery of all, because that goes. How deep does that well go? I mean, we like the word connection is probably. Pause here a second. So you're going to cut this out. Yeah, I just needed to let you know that I'm not going to be too much longer. The word connection is like a word, but it's almost like signifies the deepest desire that we have as humans. And in everything, like connection to God, people talk about. It's like the really deep yearning, to connect with God. Connection with other people, non-sexually. Like it's such a deep human desire, probably the deepest. So we have this word connection, but how far do you want to take it? Like, like what is actually at the core of it, and where do we all come from, and why do we want to be reconnected with each other? So I think it's best experienced as a mystery in sex. I think the word connection means something. Like, we recognize it when we talk about connection, we recognize it, but trying to explain it is very difficult. And I guess I would just explain it as you're just really, really there right now together. You're there in this moment. If you were to freeze this moment, it's very deeply alive. You are together, without kind of going somewhere, without trying to do something. It's just like complete as it is. I guess maybe that's how I would describe it. But in terms of like the practical, I often think that if you kind of focus on the experience of loving in sex, there's a theme in our culture of love is connection, connection is love. So that theme, that thread flows through everything. So like in a way, like love becomes a practical vehicle or a tool to experience that mystery of connection, if that makes sense. So it's almost like something you can understand a bit more as a practical action. I'm loving your body, but the result of that is that feeling of connection that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've also heard love described as the moment your heart is open towards something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My heart is open towards you. To bring it back to something you just said that seemed really powerful is like, if you were to freeze this moment, that's a really cool. Like, if you were to freeze this moment and paint it on the wall, put a printout of this moment that you and your lover are engaged in right now, it would forever symbolize the depth of connection and love and intimacy that was happening right there in that still snapshot. That to me is like a really enriching reflection, to think in this very split second, in this moment, without anything added on to it, without nothing coming up after it, this is already filled with symbolism of my deepest desires being expressed, and how rich this is.
Yeah, it's very alive. It's the most alive feeling you've ever felt, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that like, for me, that's an extension of the practice of contemplation. Like, so much of people's, like, it could be easy to just consume sexuality, especially if you watch pornography. Like, you just take in a bunch of highly stimulating novel, like porn is kind of like it's like iPad kids, like, like just constant things coming up to hold your attention and stuff. And I think where it's a disservice is it doesn't inspire the viewer to ponder, to wonder about what that's being represented through eroticism. It inspires you to feel inside your body, other than just like the desire for something sexually. Like, really reflecting on what is the desire for sex all about. Obviously there's like the reproductive instinct, but like, from a level of the desire to be unified with another, the desire to relinquish your sense of separateness. Yeah. The place where, like, even looking at your lover's body and say, like, in one way you can see a vagina as like a tube to enter and to feel good, or you can see it as like the spawn point of all life, and it's like this mystery. And so that to me has been a really powerful practice in my practice of loving and honoring sexuality in general, is reinvoking the mystery and contemplating with mystery what it is about the body and the draw towards sex, what it shows me about my own soul. And I see that. And when you said a screenshot, it made me think about the practice of, like, just an image of your lover. Like, if you have a really nice photo of your lover or something, like, spend more time just contemplating what it is about it that's drawing you in past the physical. What's really beautiful about it,
And it never stops.
If that makes sense.
And it will never stop, that exploration.
Yeah, 100%. And that
That's
is
wonderful. That's wonderful.
that to me is one of the most powerful things. And like for someone who had a background of just compulsive pornography consumption and like more like an addiction kind of thing in the past, like it was always more. So the practice of sexual contemplation is the exact opposite. It's like what is happening right now is you only are trying to rush to more because you have the inability to feel what's being portrayed already in the depth of it. So sit here until you drop into this state of like your body's really turned on because of what you're contemplating, because of what you're peering into. And it's the appearance or the image of sorts or whatever it is you're using to contemplate really just drew you into a deeper place more so.
What a wonderful place to end.
Yeah, man. I as always, dude, I and our listeners always really appreciate the insights you bring, and
Thank you.
not many people are really wonderful resources for sexual education in a way that truly enriches those that are impacted by the teachings. And you are someone who does that. The stuff you share, the stuff you create online, it has impacted me and those that hear the content that I share, collaborating with you in such positive ways, man. So a lot of gratitude for what you do. And if somebody listened to this and they like want to know more, want to listen to more, want to engage with your teachings directly, where should they go?
Go to my YouTube channel, or all my courses are on lovefloweducation.com. So whatever they want to do.
Tremendous course, by the way, as someone who's personally taken it. Tremendous course. And if the stuff we're talking about in this conversation is interesting and you want a place to really dive in deeper and practice it and like have a program set up for you to go through the information, it's really good. So highly recommend. Well, okay, my friend. This has been good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again, as usual.